casting a shadow. People are watching, waiting for the fall. Tell them something is coming. There's blood in the water. Give them a warning. Let it all come crashing down. Burn the castle to the ground. Hang their lives, no disguise. It's our time. Let it all come Let it all come crashing down. Burn the castle to the ground. Hang their lives, no disguise. It's our time. Let it all come
Welcome back, everyone. We are live at the Ubisoft booth at PAX West. If you're just joining us, we're streaming. We're talking all sorts of games today. Right now, I'm joined by the lovely Eric Pope. We're here to talk For Honor
me.
Marching Fire.
Lovely is not a word I get a lot, so thank you.
Eric, you are lovely.
What I think is lovely is this flamingo shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. I
That,
appreciate
you're
that.
really bringing your A game on the shirt.
Yeah, I try.
I can't even match it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. How's this PAX treating you?
It's interesting because on the camera you don't see it, but we are just surrounded by chaos.
Oh, yes,
Everywhere.
absolutely.
It's like a battle of Breach in For Honor. It is just, everyone's got their own stage, everyone's shouting, including us.
Yeah.
We got bass rumbling our butts every 5 seconds. It's a good time.
Yeah,
And
that's what PAX is about.
That's
Yeah,
what PAX
absolutely.
is about. Yeah, PAX is good. We've got the game here in the booth.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a 4v4 set up for Breach, which we're going to talk about very shortly. We just came off of Gamescom last week.
Nice.
That was a crazy week, showing Breach, showing arcade mode, which we're also going to talk about shortly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just been kind of the culmination of a big year for Honor. So, like, I know we're streaming on Ubisoft. We stream every week on For Honor Game, and we're hosting on For Honor Game, so shout out to the folks watching there. But for the Ubi fans who maybe haven't kept close tabs on For Honor, we've had quite a year. Back in February, which was our Season 5, we added dedicated servers.
Yes,
Which
I
is a
remember
thing that people wanted and we frankly needed since launch. And we got there in February. And basically since February onwards, it's like we got the dedicated servers. We focused on balance for a lot of our heroes, so we did a lot of reworking of our current roster of heroes. We also did seasonal events every season. So we've been hitting it hard since February. At E3, we announced Marching Fire. We're going to give you all the details of Marching Fire on the show today, which is culminating in a release next month. We're almost there. So it's just kind of been a crazy sprint through game promotion for the last few months.
Yeah. No, I think it's awesome. Like you said, dedicated servers in February. We're 6 months, or away from that. 9 months now. It's September somehow, but and now 1 month away from the largest update that's coming to For Honor since launch.
Yes, and before we do that, just really quick, I just wanted to also mention if you're an Xbox player. If you have not played For Honor, you can get the game for free right now on Xbox with Games with Gold.
That's free, y'all.
Yeah, the full edition of the game for free. Also, we did a Steam giveaway last week, so thank you to all of our new Steam players. We are seeing higher numbers than ever, which is amazing. And most importantly, for our PC players on Uplay and Steam, we are hitting open test this Thursday, which will give you access to pretty much almost all of the Marching Fire content. Oh, there it is right there. Thank you so much.
Yep.
So there's a bunch of stuff, and we're going to tell you the details of all these things in just a few minutes. But this is a free thing we're doing. We want people to try out Marching Fire and help us test it. It's not actually in like an open beta. This is really for us to test the balance of our Breach mode, test the balance of our new heroes. So it gives you access to a ton of stuff. So you
and it's not just free for people who already own For Honor, right?
Right.
Anyone can jump into this, even if you don't own For Honor.
Yep. So yeah. So if you don't own it at all, open test, you can still get it. So check that out. So yes, let's get into Marching Fire. I think
Let's
it's
do
a good topic. So October 16th is when it releases.
Yes.
It is an expansion for Honor, which is, it's bringing a lot.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things. It's not just a couple of maps. It's not just a couple heroes. So let's run through it. We're introducing a new faction called the Wulin.
So this is the first, right?
Yeah.
This has never happened before.
We've never done a new faction for Honor. You know, for the uninitiated for Honor, generally is the 3 factions that are warring: the Knights, Vikings, and Samurai.
Yeah.
And now we're introducing a 4th faction coming from the east, the Wulin, and it's 4 heroes, all coming in Marching Fire together. We have this image here, which is great.
Yeah.
We have the Jiangjun, the Tiandi, the Shaolin, and the Nusha. We'll get into their specifics very shortly. But in addition to them, 2 new game modes.
2.
One of which is called Breach, we're also
Yes.
going to tell you about shortly. Breach is a 4v4 Castle Siege mode that comes free with the update for everybody. The other is Arcade mode.
Yeah.
And Arcade mode is a PvE single-player experience. You could play co-op with a friend online, and that is part of the Marching Fire update. But that's not all.
That's not all. There's a whole lot of other stuff going on.
The UI has been revamped. The whole graphical system in the game, the lighting, textures, all of that has been overhauled.
Yeah.
So there's a whole graphical overhaul that fans will be able to appreciate. It's more beautiful than ever, which was never
It was already a gorgeous game.
really a problem we had with For Honor.
But it's getting a facelift.
Yeah. Right. It's like a facelift for someone who already has a great face.
Yeah, just like yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And a cool thing we haven't actually shown yet that we've talked about just lightly, it's called the responsive dialogue system.
What is that?
So we'll be showing that off actually this week on our Warriors Den, this coming Thursday. It's going to heighten the experience in the game, make it more immersive with the characters. If I'm facing off against you, we'll trade a few lines of dialogue as the match starts, or
Very cool.
even during the match. Not so much that it's distracting, but it's giving extra layers of narrative for our characters.
Yeah.
That a lot of our fans, like our star players we'll talk to in a few minutes, they want more of that stuff. So that'll be very cool to get into.
Yeah, a little smack talk.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh, there's
okay.
smack talk. Oh, indeed.
That's what I like to hear.
And the perk system is a big deal as well.
Yeah.
We spent an entire episode of our show a few weeks back diving into the perk system. So if you play For Honor, currently there's a system called gear stats. When you loot gear in the game, weapons, armor, stuff like that, it has kind of 3 different stats tied to each piece. And then you can do a build based on those things. You can max out certain stats like revenge activation, stuff, attack, defense. It was sort of not doing it for us. We kind of hit a ceiling with what we could do with that system. So we're overhauling that for a new perks-based system, which gives you access to sort of like feats, sort of like passive feats. So based on the gear that you collect and loot, you can build up to these different perks that are on your character's gear that give you little bonuses in the game.
Nice.
So
Similar to how Gear Score works, that's for more of the team-based modes, right?
yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah, so we know that our competitive players, especially in Duel, like to turn off gear stats.
Yeah.
So the perks are exactly the same. And in custom match, you can turn them on and off. In Duel, they should be off.
Nice.
So yeah. And then I just mentioned custom match. This is a big thing for a small percentage of people, but especially one of our star players who's watching on here is one of our tournament organizers. Custom match now will be on dedicated servers. So that's a really big step for the game and for community folks who've been organizing tournaments.
Yeah.
The P2P system was really, it could be hit or miss when you're trying to do like a 4v4 tournament. That's why a lot of our tournaments would tend to be 1v1 or brawls. But with custom match on dedicated servers, it makes it a lot easier to organize 4v4 tournaments without worrying about host migrations, people leaving the game, and all that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yes. So that's everything coming in Marching Fire.
That's a lot.
There's even other stuff that we're not even talking about yet that might be little surprises when it comes out.
Okay.
So all of that, it's a $29.99 pack. You can actually pre-order it right now. I don't know if we have the little call out, but you can pre-order it right now on our website. And if you pre-order now, you get the special elite outfits for the Wulin characters.
Okay.
And when you buy Marching Fire, it gives you 2 weeks access to the 4 heroes before other folks can unlock them with Steel.
Yeah. Okay.
So on August 16th, you get 2 weeks with those heroes to get really good at them before the other folks can buy them with steel.
Nice. And you also get arcade mode, right?
Indeed. Very importantly, you get arcade mode when you buy Marching Fire only. That is exclusive to the Marching Fire expansion pack.
Yeah. Which means the 4v4 breach mode is coming to everyone.
Absolutely. If you have no interest in buying Marching Fire, you still get breach mode, and
That's
you
awesome.
still have access to those 4 heroes if you want them. So yeah, for sure.
Very cool.
Let's get into the 4 heroes.
Yeah.
We call the Wulin faction, and they, if you know, For Honor, there's 4 classes, and they represent each one of those classes. So we have, well, first of all, obviously they're based on Chinese warriors, and China for our For Honor designers. We talk about the design process with For Honor a lot, and everything, whether it's game design but also audio design, they always start with the weapon. So when they're concepting a new character, they start with a weapon. Chinese history, turns out, has a ton of amazing weapons.
Yeah.
So right from the, I think, my first conversation with our creative director was even before we launched. I was like, well, what could possibly be the first faction we do in the future? And I think in his head, you know, he already knew where we were going.
Yeah.
And that's what he said. He's like, you know, you just look at Chinese history, look at the martial history of China. You know, a lot of wars, a lot of amazing looking armor, amazing looking weapons. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us to go with China as our first new faction in the game.
Yeah. I love that you know, you said you design the heroes around the weapons because the weapon's going to dictate the fighting style, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that makes it fun for our fight designers to, like, okay, we know, so like you're looking at the image here, you see these are 4 very distinct things. But Tiandi, he's our Vanguard character. He's got the...
So for people who don't know what a Vanguard is.
Yeah. The Vanguard is kind of the well-rounded class. We kind of think of them not as entry level, but if you're new to the game, it's good to start as a Tiandi. They're well balanced. They're not too difficult to play. They have a good set of strong moves, but not difficult to pull off. And then you have your assassins. So like the assassin on the screen here is the Nuxia. And she has these hook swords, which are amazing, and that's
So
something
cool.
that we haven't had in the game before. Like, she can do a lot of really cool things with these. You actually got a chance to play. You said you did a video on the Ubi blog,
Yeah.
the Nuxia and the Jiangjun, right?
Check that out.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/Ubisoft.
Did you have a favorite when you played?
Oh God. I love the Nuxia. Jiangjun's also I'm a fan. You know, I like my big boys. And,
Jiangjun.
Yeah.
I would
powerhouse.
say currently in the community, Jiangjun is probably the favorite.
Yeah.
He is a big boy. He's a badass. He's got that massive, what is the weapon called? I always get it wrong. It's the Guandao.
Guandao, yeah.
And he does a choke. Oh, sorry, your microphone. He does a choke and then like a backhand slap after the choke. He's got a lot of attitude. And it turns out he's based on one of the most famous figures in Chinese history.
Really?
Named Guan Yu. You know, he's like a hero in China. Like we showed on our stream last week, we sat down with our art team and sort of showed the development of them from the art side, and they have a lot of reference, especially for him. And this is the first time in our game we focused kind of on a historical figure specifically for inspiration for a character. There are massive statues built to this guy. Like, I'm talking like, you know, bigger than the Statue of Liberty type.
Oh, wow.
Like, huge.
Wow.
So that's kind of a lot of pressure too.
Yeah.
But, we're seeing a ton of hype about him. He's very cool. I have little narrative snippets that I brought just to describe them. So the Tiandi is the Vanguard that we talked about. He's the one with the full metal armor.
Yeah.
They're the loyal protectors to kings, queens, and emperors, and they are masters of the Dao blade, which is almost. People, we released that as a tease. People thought it might be a scimitar because we were teasing. We didn't tell them yet what faction it was going to be. So it's a wide blade, the weapon of choice of these royal guards.
Ooh.
And then we have the Shaolin. I don't know if you can put that picture back up for the folks to see, but the Shaolin's probably my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Shaolin's
a hybrid.
He's a hybrid, which means he has a lot going for him. He can kind of pull from Assassin's moves. He can pull from the Vanguard type stuff. And he has a bow staff. He's a monk.
Yeah.
He's got his prayers tattooed on his body.
Very disciplined.
There he is there, yes. He's very disciplined, but also has a ton of sass. He, for me, like growing up, I'm a massive Bruce Lee fan.
Okay.
And so when I heard we were doing a Chinese faction, I was like, oh, I really hope we've got some Bruce Lee flavor in there. And that character is where it all funnels into. You'll see it when you play with him. He's got a lot of that character. So yeah, he does a lot of cool things with that bow staff. Gives him a lot of distance, but he's super quick. Kind of does these monkey style fighting. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's got some awesome executions too.
Yeah, so let me read his thing. The Shaolin are fierce warrior monks known for their athletic, monkey-like fight style and their prowess with a staff. They hold their written prayers close to them at all times. So for him specifically, like his temple was burned down, his order was lost. He was kind of the only survivor, and so to honor his order, he tattooed their prayers on his body.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, we have all this stuff that the teams make up that you don't get a lot of it in game because you're trying not to die at all times.
Yep.
But there's a lot of backstory.
So that's also, you mentioned in the responsive dialogue system the fact that you're bringing a bit more personality and interaction with these characters. It's nice to have a backstory to see who they are a little bit, where they came from.
Certainly. And then the Nusha, who we talked about, is an assassin. If you haven't played the game, the assassins are a very specific class where they're fast. They have a lot of fast moves, but when they block, you need to time your blocks.
They can't hold a block.
You can't just go to the right and wait for someone to hit you and then you block it. You really have to time it, which is kind of an added level of complexity.
Yeah, I noticed the Shaolin is that way as well.
Yeah, and that's why he's a hybrid. He's got the reflex guard, we call it, but not all assassin moves. Yeah. So here's the Nusha. The Nusha are trained bodyguards and assassins who often disguise their talents through dance, much like myself, and they're deadly artists of the hook swords. So yeah, the hook sword stuff, she can, because there's two of them, she can kind of hook them to each other and like get an extra.
It is the
extra
coolest
distance.
zone attack I feel like I've ever seen.
Yeah.
She gets super long range because most assassins, when they're dealing damage, they're close in, they're right around you, they're dipping, dodging, right, getting back out. But yeah, she's got this super long range zone attack.
Right. And then we have the Zhangjun, which we talked about, but I'll just give you the flavor text here. Zhangjun are generals among the ancient Chinese armies. They're wise leaders who have mastered the Guandao weapon. So yeah, he is kind of the general of an army.
Oh, he looks like one.
And exactly. He holds himself that way, and you see in game just the animations of it. Like he's just very.
He's regal.
He's got a presence. Okay, so as we mentioned, there's so much more, and Breach. For me, Breach is the big change with Marching Fire.
Yeah, this is a new 4v4 mode that really is changing how nothing's like this in For Honor. Right?
Exactly, and from the start, I think our community, our devs as well, have really wanted to get to the promise of that attacker, defender, castle siege fantasy. And some of our modes, you get flavor, you get tastes of it, but with Breach, we're finally realizing it as a full-blown mode. It's asymmetrical. One side's attacker, one side's a defender with different rules of engagement. So let's check out the trailer and come back and talk more about it.
Yeah, let's take a look. off some of the new heroes, or all 4 of the new Wulin heroes.
Right.
I just want to let everyone know watching over in Twitch land, we will be taking questions from the chat. So if you have any questions for Mr. Eric Pope about anything Marching Fire, go ahead and toss them in there, and we'll see if we can get to them at the end.
Yes, so feel free.
We just saw that trailer.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. There was a lot going on there. And you mentioned the Shaolin's got some sass. The new show's got some sass to her too. That execution
definitely does.
was pretty cool.
Sits on your back and then just
Yeah, that's what hook swords are good for, right?
Yeah, exactly. They all have a lot of sass. I think that so kind of more narratively for those characters, they kind of get screwed over in their land. That's why they're coming west into the world of For Honor, is they had to leave. So I think they all have a little chip on their shoulder.
Okay.
So Breach. Okay.
Yes.
We have a little footage we can show while we talk, just to give you more of a taste of it, because that was a very exciting, action-packed trailer. But we already mentioned it's a castle siege. So you have one side is attacker, one side is defender. And depending on which side you're on, the rules are very different.
Okay.
So if you are on the attack side, you have a certain set of respawns.
Okay.
So once your respawns are exhausted, you lose.
Okay, so that's how the defending team can win. That's one of the ways they can win.
So as the attacker, you have a battering ram. You want to advance it the 3 phases of a breach match. You want to advance it through the first gate, the outer gate, and then keep advancing it and bash the inner gate. And then you get to a 3rd phase where, as you saw in the trailer, you get to fight this big, badass commander of the castle.
Okay.
So that is the attack side, but it's not so straightforward. You don't just go straight up the middle. As you can see in the footage here, this is our night map. There are 3 maps that we're shipping with Breach mode that are coming in Marching Fire. There's one for each faction, so this is the night one. As a player, you have options. You can go up onto the walls. We have our siege towers in this one that you can climb up. We have kind of a tunnel that's been dug under the wall, and you can breach the gates that way.
Yeah, that's what I noticed there when I was playing. It's not this just linear. I'm just gonna go down this main lane.
There is a lot going on, and the best way, I think, is to kind of split up your team. Maybe have a couple, 1 or 2 focus on that main lane, protecting your ram, while the other 2 go up on the side lane, as we call it, go up on the battlements of the walls, because we have capture zones.
Okay.
So capture zones people know from our Dominion mode. Unlike Dominion, the capture zones are permanent. You can capture it, and once you do, they stay on your side. You can have it back and forth on there, which is fun, but it can make a big difference because the capture zones have archers.
Okay.
So archers are quite effective in this mode, shooting down on you and on the ram.
So it's important to defend those positions, because if you lose them, you're not getting them back.
Exactly. So yeah, for the attackers, you can kind of inch your way up through the battlements by taking these capture zones where the archers are, and that way you protect your ram below, who bashes through, which I timed that very well. Because now we're on to the 2nd phase, so you get into the inner keep of the castle. In this particular map, it is a long alleyway with, it's almost like a little bit of a kill zone between 2 parts of the wall. So again, it has to proceed to the next gate, and you have your soldiers, which in Breach, your soldiers are called pikemen, and it's not just a name. They are dramatically stronger. They do more damage and take more damage than your average soldiers in For Honor.
Yeah, if you're not paying attention, you could definitely go down from a pikeman.
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty good strategy to bring your opponent into a battle where you have pikemen to help. If they can surround a guy, they can take him out pretty quickly.
Yeah, and they're not a one-hit kill like a lot of the Dominion minions are.
Yeah, so there are just a lot of ingredients in Breach. We have a lot of cool new things that are bringing, apart from just the one-on-one gameplay or the team-based battling. We've got the archers, we've got the ram, we've got cauldrons. You can drop fiery hot death onto your opponent or onto the opponent's ram, which actually this character is going here to do right now.
Your timing is just impeccable today.
It's like I timed it, but I assure you I did not.
Yeah. So this is a good way to do a massive amount of damage to the ram all at once, right?
There it is. See, you can see our new UI as well. It gives you a glimpse of everyone that's alive at a given time. You can see that 12 up there that's right now. That is the 12 respawns the attackers have left. Okay, and the attackers, when they breach that 2nd gate, it's a well-named mode. They breach the 2nd gate. Now they get to the commander phase. So this is like the Lord of the Castle. The RAM is now irrelevant. You are in.
Okay.
And this phase is my favorite because I've seen so many matches really turn. Like, you could be a dominant attacker. You could come in here with a lot of respawns left, but a well-organized defense squad who, squads up with their commander, takes out the attackers in waves, can really actually chip them down. And the commander's super strong. Like, he's got a
you
ton
can
of
see that
health.
massive health pool.
Massive health pool, and he throws these massive unblockable attacks.
Ooh. It's almost like having like a fifth player.
A little bit, yeah. Like, he stays in his little king zone or whatever you want to call it. But if you go in not knowing how to take him on, he can kill you very quickly. So it's 3 very different phases, which take different strategies to complete each one, and it's just so much fun. It's my favorite thing.
So yeah, the attackers win by breaching 2 gates and taking down the defender's commander. Defenders can win by either taking out all the respawns of the attacking team, or in phase 1 or 2, destroying the ramp.
That's exactly right. Yep.
And every time you get to a new phase as an attacker, you get a little bit more respawns, right?
Yeah. So if you're running a little low, each time you breach a gate, you get a new set of respawns.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just super exciting. It's really fun too because depending on what character you like to play, maybe it's more suited to staying in the lane, fighting the pikemen and defending your ram, or maybe it's more suited to going up and being a little more sneaky, going up on the battlements and doing some one-on-one fights there.
When we were playing earlier, you were saying how important it is to have someone on the attacking team by your RAM at all times, just because it'll move things along a little bit faster, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly. It's not just on rails. If you don't defend your RAM, A, you'll lose quickly, but B, the other team's pikemen will prevent it from advancing. Because once they group up there, and if you don't try to take them out, it'll stop you from advancing. So it's not just a timed mode.
Yeah.
You do have to actively defend your RAM to get it through.
Yeah. So because there's so many more sort of roles and things to do in breach mode, do you see a higher importance on having the right feats equipped, having a good diversity of heroes, for your team?
Yes. Yeah. Feats are very important. You might need to focus a lot on feats you wouldn't otherwise use in Dominion, for example. Feats that boost your minions, boost your soldiers, feats that can heal, things like that are really important here. And revives in general are a big important mechanic in this, because if you have limited respawns, your team has to work together to to revive down teammates so you don't lose those tickets, we call them.
Yeah. Which also means that executions are very important, right?
Executions are very important as an attacker, as a defender. So to that point, if you're a current For Honor player, maybe you're aware that when we introduced dedicated servers, our voice chat system kind of had to take a break for a while. A lot of people use third-party voice chat systems anyway, like on PC, but for our console players, it was not so great. So coming back with Marching Fire, voice chat is back in the game, and it's super crucial to breach mode for you to coordinate with your teammates to win, because you definitely can't win this as a solo.
Yeah.
So that is Breach. It is super fun.
Yeah. And that's coming to everyone who owns For Honor, right?
Yes. It's not an additional purchase or anything. And if you are interested and you have time this week and you're on PC, you can play it yourself in the PC Open Test, which starts on Thursday.
Yeah.
So that's Breach mode.
But
we have another mode.
Another mode, as you mentioned.
Yes. It's called Arcade. We have a trailer. Let's check it out right now, and then we'll talk more about it.
Yeah.
Can somebody give me a real challenge?
Can I just say I love For Honor trailers? That just gets me so
Right?
hyped.
I know, they
Right?
always get me pumped up.
Yeah,
Yeah, the team back in Montreal does a great job on those. It's
absolutely.
shout out to them. I get to sit with those guys, so I get to see them in process. And
Yeah, so
awesome.
it gave us a good overview kind of what arcade mode is, or a good tease. But it's new PVE content, right?
Yeah,
so you don't have to
believe it or
play
not.
with other people.
Yeah, and believe it or not, in this very PvP, very competitive game, there is a subset of players who only play in they only play against bots.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame them because I'm kind of that type of player where I get a little scared taking on human beings because I suck. And so, and I'm not saying our PvAI players suck either, but it's a comfort thing too.
Yeah.
And so we did an event back in Season 5 called Test Your Metal, which was part of our Season 5 seasonal event, and it was a PvAI, a PvE mode, which actually gave us a little bit of a hint like, oh, there is actually a good appreciation for this in our community, that this is not a community that only wants PvP. So that was nice because we knew this was coming up. Our team was actively working on arcade at the time. It's like, okay, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think we'll be all right. So here we are. It's a PvE mode, single player or co-op with online. And if I have Marching Fire and you don't, I can invite you to play this with me.
That's cool.
And you still get the rewards, you still get the progression.
Nice.
So that's a cool feature that they threw in here, which is nice.
Yeah.
So I mentioned progression. That it's an alternative way for some people, if you want, that you can progress your characters without going into the multiplayer modes, the 4v4.
So that progression carries over.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's all the same system. So you get the rewards, you get the progression here, or you can get it in Dominion or Breach. Or
That's
whatever.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a procedurally generated mode. That's why we say infinite replayability.
Yeah.
And so there's 30 different ingredients like you saw in that trailer. I think we have a little B-roll we can show too while we talk, just to give you a little more look at it.
And remember, if you have any questions about Breach, arcade mode, feel free to toss those in the chat. We'll see if we
throw
can
them
get
in chat and we'll try to grab them for later. So the modifiers can be really fun too.
So I mean, that's the biggest game changer, right? To the For Honor formula is these modifiers. In arcade mode.
Where your opponent might be constantly burning on fire, burning to death, in fact. So you can't just wait for them to burn. They will be more aggressive because even though they're bots, they know they're going to die. So they'll come at you hard. Or you could be bleeding to death, or you could have extra, like every time you're hit, you get knocked on your ass, that sort of thing. So,
but my very first arcade mode game, I was bleeding to death. I had a super aggressive conqueror on me, just bashing me with a shield. And if I killed the minions around, I would heal up a little bit. So it was this sort of bob and weave, get in, try and get some hits, kill some minions, go back and forth.
Someone, when we showed it at Gamescom last week, and someone sort of described it almost as like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Like depending on the modifiers, you can equip, whether you equip certain feats and stuff like that to work well against them. You can figure out, okay, I have to fight 1v3. I got to fight 3. Our friend Havoc, who's a content creator, he was stuck for the longest time doing 1v3, and it was 3 Valks or 3 Peacekeepers. I can't remember which. Whichever it was just kicking his ass over and over and over. And then he finally realized, like, oh, okay, there's actually traps here I should be using to try to, because those guys would regenerate their health. That was the modifier for that. So you have 3 people regenerating their health, and it's got the thing you were telling me that, you die, you're like, oh, I want to get back in there and try again.
That's the thing is that, my time with arcade mode was just so addicting because you'll get killed, but you're almost instantly back in, and you're like, all right, I know what I messed up on. Let me see if I can do it again. And then that happens another 30 times in my case, so I'm also not very good. And then I eventually beat it, and it's the most satisfying feeling.
Yes, it's very satisfying. And actually, like I mentioned earlier, we're trying to find new ways to bring narrative in. There are little narrative threads throughout. They're called quests, that you'll go on a quest, and it's maybe 4 or 5 different scenarios. And little bits of text. It gives you some backstory. So maybe the people who are burning to death, maybe they're part of a fire cult, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just another thing to play with, which is fun.
And I the trailer showed it as well that there's different difficulty levels, right? So if you're new to the game, and they're tied to your gear scores, right? So
that's
if you're new, you can jump into a common quest.
And so yeah, so it's based on your gear score, you know, the different color of your gear, if it's gray, if it's blue, if it's yellow, whatever, purple, and it will ramp up accordingly. So you can try to do an epic or a legendary quest with your gray common gear, and it will, I guarantee you won't, like, actually I'll say that.
Yeah,
As
something's
soon
gonna do
as
it.
day one, well, people will be sending me videos like, oh, I did it on legendary with no gear.
You basically have to avoid getting hit at all, though,
Yes,
right?
you have to be super good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gives you real challenges. So yeah, the level of difficulty ramps up, and sort of the complexity of the modifiers you're facing, and maybe the number of opponents, the number of scenarios in your quest. Will
And even the type of modifiers, too. 'Cause they can be positive, right? They can give you regen health or something like that. So, yeah, if you play on an easier thing, you're more likely to get more positive modifiers out of it.
Yeah, so I think folks will find it super fun, and that is coming with Marching Fire along with everything else. That comes with the purchase of Marching Fire as the expansion.
Yeah.
So that is that.
So we're gonna shift gears a little bit here. I'm gonna take my leave for a short moment.
Yes, before we get to your questions, we actually had some special guests who will shuffle on as unawkwardly as we can while doing a live stream. So these are three folks that we call our star players. Star Players is a Ubisoft-wide program. Every game that we have, we can have star players. So For Honor is lucky to have these three folks here with us in Seattle right now. Come on up, guys. Actually, I will slide over one. Oh, where's our third? She's coming around. Okay. So these are people from the For Honor community that do different things. They contribute to our community in different ways. We wanted to bring them here to have fun with them and to recognize them for the contribution. So, yeah, scoot in over here, Light Boogie. Yep, you slide this way a bit. Cool. We did it. We got all four of us on stage.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we introduce each of you and we'll kind of talk about what we do. Let's start down here. Light Boogie.
Hey.
Is that how you want to be named here?
Yeah, that's me.
Nice. Light Boogie.
What's going on,
up?
Pope?
So
Chilling.
we know this guy for a couple reasons, but mainly as a tournament organizer.
Yes, sir.
So you run a lot of tournaments in the community.
Yep.
Are you interested in the thing we mentioned a few minutes ago about dedicated servers coming to custom match? Will that help you in your quest to run tournaments?
Of course. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the competitive players are in EU and NA. So we try not to limit, the amount of people, based on their region where they if they can sign up or not. So having it be not peer-to-peer and actually dedicated should make it easier. I'm sure people are still going to say, oh, I lag, but I think it's definitely going to go a long way, especially like you were saying earlier, like the 4v4 modes. Always the most popular. People always want to do the 4v4 tournaments. We actually have some coming up.
Nice.
So it'll be like a little
preview. Give them a plug?
Don't have anything set up yet, but it's September. We're going to have some big prize 4v4 tournaments coming up.
Cool.
So some cool stuff in the works. So if you want to get involved in the competitive community, there's plenty of places to do it. So.
And you have done both online as well as like actual in-person tournaments?
Yeah. So anytime there's a LAN tournament, I'm usually there, always trying to show out for the competitive community.
Nice.
So there's actually probably some more coming up too. So like I said, just keep tuned in. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wait, no, I'm gonna be dynamic here. Now I'm gonna go to my left. Exxon, how are you?
Good.
Welcome to Seattle.
Yeah.
So we know you as a Warden cosplayer.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
So you were wearing the armor earlier.
I was.
How are you feeling about what I was just saying about trying to bring additional narrative to the game? Because I know that you feed on that stuff. You're doing a fan fiction contest maybe right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
I mean, I am what you would call a filthy casual. So I'm also not good at this game. And, for the longest time, we had little snippets of flavor and we had campaign mode. So I'm sure you saw me jumping up and down over there. I'm like, yes, Lore, Lore, Lore. So, and there's a whole subreddit now dedicated to just For Honor lore called Lore Honor. And they have
Lore Honor, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, huge discussions on just is Shaman a pharaoh child? And no, I'm not kidding. And it's really academically inclined. I really recommend everyone go check it out.
Wow, maybe that's a good question. Is Shaman a fairy child?
There's a whole discussion on it if you're curious about it.
Wow. Well, and that's in my job as a community developer. That's what I love because so much of our community is so competitive focused, and like they need to know the timings of moves, they need to know max punishes, all this stuff, and like it's a lot in your world, but it's the people in your world that also like really flesh out a community, like cosplayers, the content creators, the fan fiction, all of that just really makes it makes things a lot less toxic.
Yeah.
B, it just adds a lot of flavor and depth and like just cool shit to look. Fan artists as well. Like, we're really blessed with For Honor to have a lot of really talented people making costumes.
Yeah.
We met Rotten Kraken last week at
She's such a sweet
GamesCon.
girl, yeah.
And Pan, the other famous warden.
Yes.
And it's funny because you are all kind of a community amongst yourselves of For Honor.
Kind of know each other, yeah.
Yeah. And this man here, Marco Yolo.
What up?
I didn't know what to expect with a man named Marco Yolo. I didn't know you're gonna come like dressed in a certain way. You are a YouTube creator, a content creator on YouTube.
I am indeed, yes.
You do a lot of great For Honor stuff.
Thank you.
So what's that like for you? I assume like when you're looking for a game that you are going to spend a good chunk of your life focusing on. You need
not
something
wrong.
with like dynamic, like it can't be the same stuff every week, right?
Right, exactly. And that's one thing I think I liked about For Honor, not just it's really the variety with every single character as well, right? Like no two videos of mine are really the same because every hero is so unique and so their own personality. And I guess I look at it that way. Each of those videos as well has their own kind of unique personality, their own flair. Like you kind of mentioned earlier with Shaolin having a little bit of sass, that's something you can probably expect in a video that I'll make, right?
Yes.
Or if you've got someone like Centurion.
Content creators are kind of a little community amongst themselves as well.
Yeah, we definitely are. They're a great group of people. It's not just them. Like it kind of interchanges. There's lots of even graphic artists as well that a lot of the other content creators use for thumbnails and whatnot. So it's nice to see how that community gets integrated with the other various communities. But definitely the content creators, we are like a big kind of union together for sure.
Cool. I could spend a half hour more talking to you guys, but unfortunately I have to keep us rolling along because we want to answer a few questions. Thank you so much for being here at PAX with us. Thanks so much for everything you do in the community. And thank you for sticking with us over the last year or so because as you've seen, we're not going anywhere. We're just getting bigger and bigger. Our Steam giveaway has put us on the Steam like all-time top 10, which is amazing. So yes, I think there's still good times to come with For Honor, so stick around with us.
Play For Honor.
So I think we now have to unfortunately shuffle you off as gracefully as we shuffled you on. And we're going to bring Yusef back up and maybe answer a couple questions before we have to all shuffle off.
All right.
To our next segment. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yusef, come on up, sir. So while he comes up, I'll just give you some quick recaps. Marching Fire pre-order is available right now. You can do it on our website, and you have the elite bonus outfits that come with it. And Yusef, how are you?
Good. Did you miss me?
I did miss you. I see 2 questions on your mind. We didn't get a lot of questions, I'll be honest. Because I think that means we did our job well.
I know.
And their mic isn't on, I don't think, unfortunately. Are you unplugged?
I don't know. Oh, there we go.
On now.
Here we go.
Hello.
So yes, we're a bit short on time, but we got 2 questions. Apologies if I butcher anyone's name.
That's half the fun.
So Ayello41 asks, so if we don't buy the expansion, can we still unlock the Chinese characters with steel, the Wu Lin characters with steel? If so, how much steel to unlock each hero?
Ayello, it's a great question, and you absolutely can. Yes, as I mentioned, people who buy Marching Fire as a pack, you get a 2-week exclusivity on those heroes, but after that, you can unlock them with steel. It's the same price as our other DLC heroes. It's 15,000 steel each.
And then Weeznax asks, will there be any way to get arcade mode without buying Marching Fire?
So at the launch of Marching Fire, it's exclusive to the Marching Fire expansion. As I always say about For Honor, anything is always possible because we're not going anywhere, and we do always listen to our community and try to respond to what we're hearing. So currently planned, you get it with Marching Fire. For the future, who knows?
Anything's possible, folks.
Yep.
So that is all the time we have today. Thank you so much for watching.
Yes, thank you.
Remember, you can pre-order For Honor Marching Fire. You pick it up when it comes out on October 16th.
Yep.
And
open test starts this week for anyone on PC, Uplay, or Steam. We love you both. It's free. You don't have to own For Honor. check out Breach Mode, check out the Wulin Heroes, check out maps on Breach Mode that no one has played yet. It's going to be super exciting. So hopefully we'll see you showing up on the open test on Thursday.
Yeah. So that's it for us, folks, for now. I'm Yusuf McGee. This is Eric Pope. We'll be taking a quick break, and we'll be coming back later with some Starlink Battle for Atlas.